what's up, and welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, my name's Yasmin. I am a 20-year-old mom to my almost 3.5-year-old Laela and my almost 2-year-old Analia, and I am currently pregnant with baby girl number 3. So if you guys like today's video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up and follow me on my other socials down below. I'm getting towards the end of my pregnancy. When I was pregnant with my second daughter Analia, I posted a video comparing my 2 pregnancies. My first pregnancy I was 16 and my second pregnancy I was 18, and now my 3rd pregnancy I am 20. I've had like pretty different experiences with all 3 of those pregnancies, and I wanted to make another video comparing this pregnancy with my last 2 because I had just seen that video pop up and I thought it would be really interesting to like compare all 3 of them. Like I had said in my last video, it's never my intention to glorify teen pregnancies. I just like to share my experience to help other people and to like inform other people. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm gonna kind of try to follow like the things that I talked about in that video. I'll link that one down below as well if you guys want to see. I never go back and watch my old videos unless I'm doing something like this, which I don't do very often. It's just so interesting to like watch myself grow up, I guess. So my first pregnancy, like I said, I was 16 when I got pregnant. To explain some of like the backstory for anyone who is new here, I was dating my oldest daughter's dad, and I was at a new high school. I had just moved in with my aunt, and he didn't go to my school. It was like our relationship was kind of ending, and I broke up with him and then found out that I was pregnant right after. I wasn't with him my whole pregnancy. I was living with my aunt at the time. I decided to do homeschooling for that year, my junior year. Basically, I just spent my pregnancy like living with my aunt and like with my little cousins. Yeah, that was like my living situation. So with that pregnancy, I like was single, kind of isolated myself, and I didn't really see many other kids my age. Like I had a few friends and I did work, so that's like where I had social interaction with people my age. But I would say for the most part, I like pretty much like isolated myself, and I kind of just do that when I'm pregnant. I like don't like to be super social, especially like towards the end of my pregnancies, just like compared to how I am like when I'm not pregnant. I like love being with my friends and being social. One of the things I talked about in that video was like whether I considered like all of my options with all of the pregnancies. For my first pregnancy, my first thought was that I was gonna get an abortion. I touched a lot more on that in my first video. You guys can definitely go back and like watch that one. But yeah, I did consider getting an abortion with that pregnancy, and then after that I never really thought that I could ever get an abortion. I'm pro-choice. I think a lot of people think that because I didn't get an abortion that I'm pro-life and like against abortion, but that's not true at all. I think that it's none of my business what other people choose to do with their bodies and their babies. So yeah, just like to put that out there. I am pro-choice, but I chose to become a mom. I just did not think that I would like have been able to live with getting an abortion. Not to say that like you're a terrible person if you can get an abortion and live with it, but because I like knew that I had the support that I needed to have my baby, and I had a friend who had like shared her experience with getting an abortion and that she regretted it, I ended up not wanting to do it, and obviously I'm very glad that I had Laela. I can't imagine my life without Laela. I also did consider adoption. I think for like a little bit I like had talked about my aunt adopting my daughter. Yeah, that was like a very like, that was just something that like crossed my mind. Having kids at any of these ages is very difficult. Not to say it's not doable and that I don't love being a mom and love my kids, but it definitely is still hard. And I like did think about for a split second like, oh my god, should I be doing this? Like, should I be having these babies? Both of them, like with my second, I was like, is this fair to my first daughter to like have another one so close to her age and then like not be able to give her as much attention? And then even with this 3rd one, I thought that same thing. When it comes down to it, I wouldn't consider really getting an abortion because I don't believe in that for myself. My first pregnancy, when I was 16, I had a little bit of morning sickness. It was about like a month that I felt nauseous. I threw up like once or twice. I thought it was so bad. After I had my second pregnancy and had morning sickness with that pregnancy, I realized how easy my first one was. My second one was very hard. For like 2 or 3 months, I was like severely sick. I was like throwing up all the time. I could barely eat. I was like losing so much weight. I was like super sick, fainting. It was just not good. And then after that passed, I would say it was like pretty easy going from then on until the end of that pregnancy, and I was like miserable and I was like so done being pregnant. But I kind of feel like that's any pregnancy by the end of it. Even same with Laela, like I wasn't as like miserable and like exhausted, but I definitely was like, okay, I'm like done being pregnant, like get this baby out of me. However, my first one was definitely physically easiest. Like I think Mostly also because I didn't have another kid to take care of, so I was really just taking care of myself, and I lived with my aunt at the time, so I didn't even have very many other responsibilities. So physically definitely the easiest, and then my second one was hardest as far as like my morning sickness, and then this one has been easier as far as like how I feel, but just like having to chase around 2 toddlers has also made it harder. And again, it's hard to say because I didn't have many other like responsibilities at the time when I was 16 versus 20. I had to be taking care of like our house and like doing more things and taking care of my kids versus like not having to do that with my first one. I think I also just learned how to navigate like the sickness a little bit better. One of my best like morning sickness tips would just be, and I think like this is one of like the obvious ones that people talk about, and maybe it doesn't work for everyone, but just eat right away when you wake up. For me, I like, even now I have to eat like right away, and I don't know if it's because the baby's like taking all your nutrients like while you sleep at night or what, but even like now at this point of my pregnancy, like as soon as I wake up, I like need to go get like a granola bar or something. Same with like in the beginning of the pregnancy when I was getting sick, I just made sure like to immediately eat something, because if I started to feel nauseous because I hadn't eaten anything yet throughout the day, then I like wouldn't eat at all because I was just like, oh, I feel too sick to eat. So if I made myself eat something right away, I would feel okay enough to continue eating throughout the day. And then also small meals and like snacks throughout the day is like much better than eating big meals and having just like 3 big meals a day. So like small meals throughout the day and eat first thing in the morning. That helped me a lot. Other than that, for morning sickness, I didn't really try any other like remedies because I didn't really have it that bad this time around. The babies throughout the pregnancies kind of goes in with like the physical stuff, but my first daughter has a different dad than my other 2. For those of you guys who are new here, I hope that wasn't really confusing. I got with my current fiance after my first one was born. He's the father of my second daughter and of this baby. So my first daughter, her dad is a lot like shorter and like smaller, so she was a really small baby and is still like a pretty small kid, but she still is just like tiny for her age. She was always in a very low percentile throughout my whole pregnancy, like when she was a fetus. My pregnancy with her was considered high risk, and I had to go to all these extra ultrasounds because like the blood flow for me to her was like inadequate. Then she caught up towards the end, so like by the end of it everything was like fine. And then my second daughter at the beginning was also measuring a little bit small, started catching up throughout the pregnancy. She got up to over the 50th percentile. By the end of it, my first was 6 pounds 12 ounces, my second was 7.5 pounds. So this baby has been kind of doing the same thing that my second one did. My fiance Logan is super tall, he's 6'4". Everyone was really shocked because I said that in a TikTok, and I guess nobody knew that he was 6'4". So Analia, like my second daughter, is like a bigger baby. I feel like at this age, Layla was like already like had more of a kid like build, and Anna just still has like that baby, the baby legs. And then this baby was really small in the beginning again, so they were worried about that again. And then by the time I was like 20 weeks at the anatomy scan, she was like in the 30th percentile. Since then has stayed around there. They did like one more ultrasound a few weeks ago, I want to say. So she's still like smaller. We'll see how big she ends up being when she's born. Another thing that I think I talked about in my video 2 years ago was like my like weight gain and like my body throughout the pregnancy. I honestly don't like keep track of like my weight gain. Like I get weighed at my doctor's appointments and stuff, but I don't like write it down or anything, like remember it. But I think this time around I definitely have gained more weight than I did in my other pregnancies. Like my first, like with Layla, I was so like, it was my first pregnancy. I don't know how to explain it, but like just as far as like my muscle tone, I was like so young and stuff, I felt like my body didn't change that much. Then I like lost the weight really quickly from like breastfeeding and stuff afterwards. But I think I gained like a pretty normal amount of weight with Layla. And then with Analia, I like had lost so much weight from being sick in the beginning of the pregnancy that I was like really small. So I like didn't gain all that much weight with her, but like towards the end I was like back at like a healthy weight, but I didn't like gain a lot of pregnancy weight. I feel like my body didn't change that much. Like I had like a few stretch marks from both those pregnancies in my stomach, but I like didn't get a whole lot. And I don't do anything for stretch marks either. A lot of people ask like if what I do to like prevent them, and I don't do anything to prevent them. And I honestly think that stretch marks maybe are like a genetic thing or something. This time around I haven't really noticed any more, like too many more. If anything, I feel like it just like kind of accentuates like my old ones. Also, maybe I'll be able to tell more like after the baby's born. I don't have a problem with stretch marks either. I like love my stretch marks and I'm not like ashamed of them, and I've always loved them. I mostly get them on my back, like my lower back, then like a few on my stomach. So this third pregnancy, because I wasn't sick, I think I was eating as much as I could because I didn't want to be sick. So I think I gained more weight this pregnancy just because I was like taking advantage of the fact that like I could be eating and I like would rather that than be like sick. And also my cravings, I didn't talk about cravings really, but I didn't really have many crazy cravings with Laela. With Anna, I definitely had some weird ones, and especially because I was sick, it was like things that I felt like I could stomach, which were like chicken soup and like jello and like just like random weird stuff. This time around, I've mostly craved like sweets. Like I always just want like dessert. I want like cheesecake, and sour Skittles was like my first like thing that I just randomly craved. But the biggest thing for me is ice. Crunchy ice. But yeah, so weight gain and stuff, I would say like this time around I definitely have like, feel like my body has like looked the most different. I've like gained weight and like it's changed the most versus my other pregnancies. I have to say my butt has never been so big, so I'm hoping that stays. Fingers crossed. Pray for my butt, guys. Anyway,
look at their ice cream.
Oh yeah,
I didn't realize it was a cookie, so.
That's so
Alright,
cute.
they're gonna eat it before ball. Come on,
Go
ladies!
your ice creams.
If you would like me to describe the difference in pregnancies from my point of view, here they are. I'm gonna tell you anyway.
Tell them about the first one. How did that one go?
I
First
wasn't
one,
with her.
he maybe saw me in the hallway like twice. The first
That
one.
was my involvement.
Great dad.
Second one, Analia. We had some trouble, but we prospered. No.
We were navigating it a little.
Yeah, we were still finding ourselves, if that makes sense.
We were so young.
Yeah, we
still.
were so young.
Like,
we were all over the
We
place.
are still young, but I feel like now that we've experienced that. Yeah.
I feel like this pregnancy was really easy and really, like, we just flew by with it.
Aw,
Other than the
that's
fact that Yasmyn is the most beautiful woman.
What were you gonna say other than the fact that? What were you really gonna say?
Yasmyn's a beautiful girl, and also that she's a little bit uptight when she's pregnant, but we got through it. We did good. I would say, hey Yasmyn, let's go for a walk. She'd be like, are you kidding me? I'm pregnant. Hey Yasmyn, let's go do this. Are you kidding me? I'm pregnant. So that's my side of things, but it's all good because we did it.
Thank you for your input, Logan. Okay, yeah, I am a little uptight when I'm pregnant. He's like with the kids. When I'm not pregnant, I'm so like go with the flow, like whatever. And then when I'm pregnant, I'm like a clean freak and like, I don't know, have no tolerance for things or people. So I like isolate myself a lot. And I feel like I'm just like more mean, but like in a real way. Like normally I'm like a people pleaser and like so much more worried about like everyone else and my like how my emotions are affecting other people, and when I'm pregnant I like don't care.
Yeah, it's like the opposite.
It's
good for her because she always like just lets everything slide and doesn't ever think about things like affecting her. She just kind of lets it go.
Yeah.
And when she's pregnant, she actually has more self-worth.
Yeah, I like stand up for myself because I have to, because I'm standing up for the baby too. So yeah. Another thing with this pregnancy that I've had like the worst of out of my pregnancies is lower back pain, my feet hurting, and round ligament pain, which is like a pain like in the side of on your bump. And I never really experienced that with my other pregnancies, I don't think. Then the back pain is just like, honestly at the end of the day, if I like am doing a lot and like walking around doing a lot of like chores and stuff, my back just like, lower back just hurts, and I just like sit with my heating pad. Same with my feet, if I'm like walking around too much, my feet just start to hurt. But again, that could also just be because I have more on my plate with having 2 kids, so I'm like taking care of like twice as much stuff for.
Try mine.
Thank you.
The one with the ice cream was cold.
Oh, thank you. That was so yummy. Oh, hello, Anna. You look so stinking cute. Oh, thank you.
She went to the dryer too.
Thank you, Anna. All right, girls, go back to the table. One thing in pregnancy, towards the end of your pregnancy, there's this thing called like lightning, or like people just say like your baby drops or like your bump drops. Like I'd always heard of it and I had never noticed it in my other pregnancies, and people always talk about like, oh yeah, it's like so like it feels so like you can breathe again and all this stuff, and I like never noticed it with my first 2 pregnancies, like the bump dropping. And it's basically where like the baby just like lowers and engages to like prepare for birth, if that makes sense. With this pregnancy, I felt like I was carrying pretty high. A couple of days ago, noticed it by how it felt, also how it looked. that my bump significantly dropped. And I was like, oh my God, like my bump dropped, like the baby dropped. So I was kind of like freaked out, thinking maybe I was like in labor or something, because if it's not like your first pregnancy, is like what I had been reading everywhere, is that in most like subsequent pregnancies, or like your second or third or so on pregnancies, your bump doesn't like drop way ahead of time. It usually drops like closer to like when you're actually in labor. So I kind of started to get a little worried because we are on a baby moon right now. My pregnancy with my second daughter, I had to think about like how the like sibling relationship was gonna be. It was just a lot more to like think about like how my toddler was gonna like interact with the baby and how she was gonna feel and all that stuff. And I would definitely say it's like kind of the same thing this time around, because I have a 3.5-year-old. And what? You wanna come in? Okay. Layla wants to come in. Layla's in here watching me if you hear her in the background. With this pregnancy, it's like kind of the same thing. I just had to like think about how like the interaction's gonna be and how it's gonna be having 3 versus 2. I think like what I've mainly thought, how like their personalities are different, like Laela and Anna. Like Anna's much more like wild, and what happened to your hair? Did it fall out? Oh. Crazy day at the park? No. So I definitely am a little bit more worried about how like Anna's gonna feel about the baby, just because she's like a little more wild and a little bit more like very attached to me. I'm excited to see how both of them are, and I feel like Anna is gonna surprise us and be like very like big sister. Another thing I forgot to like mention was just like hormonal, like emotional stuff, and I feel like honestly that this pregnancy has been super emotional. I feel like it's definitely been my most like emotional pregnancy. Other than like the nerves of being like a first time mom, like with Laela, like I feel like I wasn't that nervous. I was kind of just like accepting whatever was about to happen. Like I just felt like I wasn't very prepared. But I like also had my aunt there that made me feel a lot more like calm about everything, because I knew that she had 6 kids, and I was like felt like I was in kind of like good hands. So yeah, so with this one, I definitely have like the least like worries about like what is coming, because I've now experienced it twice. And like my second one, obviously we did that whole thing like on our own, like we weren't living with our families anymore. So as far as like the actual like pregnancy nerves of like baby coming and stuff, that hasn't been like a big deal. I'm just like really excited that we get to like do the newborn stage again. For some reason I've just had like a very hormonal, like emotional pregnancy. Otherwise, I think I covered everything. That is the difference between my pregnancies at 16, 18, and 20. And I have said this before, but I think that this is going to be my last pregnancy. As much as I feel like this pregnancy flew by, and like I love having kids and newborns and stuff, I think 3 is enough. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. You guys can throw any other comments or questions down below in the comment section. My other socials are down below as well. Stay tuned guys, because this baby's coming so soon and I can't believe it, and I'm so excited. I am so torn, because I'm like at this point in my other pregnancies, I was like so ready to like for it to be over. I was like counting down the days, and now I'm just like trying to hold on to it, because it's probably my last like moments with a bump, and I'm like kind of sad about it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.